Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Chat About. My name is Maria, and today we have a very special episode as we have three alumni, who will be joining us from the ilab Accelerator, and they will be discussing all things entrepreneurship at UQ. So UQ Ventures reflects the entrepreneurial spirit of our community and create spaces for us to work together to find opportunities and solve challenges to create positive change local and globally. Introductory programs and workshops help you take your first steps in entrepreneurship, but also industry challenges, hackathons, and internships can help you apply those skills. Also, we have the Startup Adventures and the ilab Accelerator that really jumpstart your experience. There is support at every stage of your venture journey, from flexing your creative muscles to launching a startup. So basically, you can go from the very beginning and just learn everything you have to until you can launch your own. As always, if you have any questions during our conversation, feel free to put it in the comment section and we will try to answer them at the end. So on that note, let me bring out my guest today. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Maria.
Hi,
How
Rachel.
are you?
Hello.
Hi, Rizal. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And just before we start, can you please just briefly introduce yourself and what your startup is? So maybe we can start with you, Ian.
Sure. My name is Ian, and I'm one of the two co-founders of Korean Organics, and we aim to transform the laundry experiences by creating some of the world's most creative, innovative, and sustainable detergent solutions. And we've just created the world's first soap-free denim wash.
Oh, that's amazing. Wonderful. What about you, Rachel?
Hello everyone. I'm Rachel, and I'm one of the co-founder at PowerSphere. So at PowerSphere, we make omnidirectional wind turbines that's able to capture wind from every direction at the same time. So that's utilizing the unutilized wind energy in a city setting. So yeah, I was a part of the ilab Accelerator in 2019. Yeah.
Great. And Rizal, what about you?
So I'm the founder of Open Inductions. We're a company that has designed and patented retrofittable hybrid electric airplane engines that reduce fuel consumption in commercial aviation.
Wow, that is so interesting. That's incredible. Wonderful. All right, so let's start with an easy question. What is ilab? Anyone can answer. Rizal, do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, ilab is an opportunity for developing a business because my co-founders and I don't really have a business background. We're all engineers, so ilab has taught us how to actually make a business and like those soft skills that we didn't have because we're all technical people.
Yeah, I'll add on that. So ilab is an accelerator program. So anyone with a potential startup idea or who need to seek mentorship or seek just that little bit of funding for to give their startup a little push. So so that's what an accelerator is for. And ilab is basically set up for UQ students, UQ alumni, or UQ staff to participate and basically accelerate the startup. Yeah.
That is amazing. Wonderful. Thank you. So how was your experience and what was the best part of ilab? Ian. Or you can.
Yeah,
Rachel,
no. I just spoke. Ian can go now.
Oh, okay. I think one of the greatest things that came out of ilab was getting to meet other co-founders in the startup space. I think sometimes when you're going through a program or you're working on your own startup, it can get quite daunting. You can feel quite isolated. But ilab really is a cohort filled with 10 startups when we started. And it's just getting to know each other through that mentoring process, getting to bounce ideas on one another. And Rizal and I were actually from the same cohort in ilab 2020, and it's been a great experience getting to know each other as startup founders, but also to get to know some of UQ's mentors, which has been very valuable, who have provided very valuable insights to each and every one of us.
Okay. So when you became part of it, so you had a very clear idea of what you were going to do, what your startup was going to look like?
Yes and no, I think. Yes, in the sense that we came with an idea, but through the process, I think along the way, when you get your problem validated, people will advise you on uh, is this idea really worth investing in, or do you want to consider something else? And so I think through ilab this year, and because of the pandemic that happened, it caused us to pivot twice throughout the program. We are still focusing on detergents, but it looks a bit different now than it was right at the beginning.
Okay. And from what I understand, Rizal and Ian, you did everything online because of the pandemic.
The
Like
sec-
you were part of the program online?
yes.
Yeah.
The first few weeks, the first few months actually was in person, but then um, midway, we started doing more online, and then more towards the end, went in person again.
Okay. All right. And how was that transition to doing it online? I guess like we've all done classes and everything, but what about this type of experience?
For my case personally, it happened really good at the time that it happened because at that time we were actually designing our engine, and it required a lot of computing power and a lot of time on the computer. So it was good. So pretty much for 6 weeks, me and my other co-founders were just at home staring at a computer screen for like 8 hours a day, making sure that everything's right before we actually started manufacturing anything.
Yeah.
So it turned out good for us.
That's it. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, like what Rizal said, we went through half of the program pretty much online, but I thought it was a unique opportunity to connect with mentors and advisors from overseas as well. So we got the chance to meet founders from the US who zoomed in their evenings when we were in our mornings. I think it's just creating a whole different space to operate in. Yes, we don't get that in-person experience as much as maybe previous years, but we've had this very unique opportunity to connect in a wider scope. Instead of just meeting face to face in Brisbane, we had the chance to meet with founders from all over the world.
That's really good. That's wonderful. That's good to hear. Perfect. All right. So why did you apply for the ilab Accelerator program? Any of you? Rachel, do you want to tell us about it?
Yes. So with our idea is actually a physical product. We entered the Dow Center Sustainability Student Challenge prior to ever knowing about ilab. We entered that engineering competition looking to just practice our practical skills and design skills. And it happened that we won the challenge, and Bernie, who was the director of ilab at the time, he was one of the judge, and he saw the potential in PowerSphere, and he advised that we see if we can apply and become part of ilab. And through that application process, we got into ilab. So for us, it was more motivated by commercializing a product that we already developed. So yeah, that's how we applied for ilab.
That's wonderful. And what type of competition were you a part of when you won it?
Yeah, so that was the Dow Center's sustainability. I can't remember the exact name, but it's called CISCA. So it's hosted once every year when I entered it. So basically, it's a challenge for engineering students to develop any sort of sustainable solution to any problem. And yeah, and because we had a passion for sustainability, as well as it would be a good opportunity to practice our theoretical knowledge and put it into a tangible solution. So that's what motivated us to enter that challenge in the first place. And being able to eventually build a startup on that product is actually quite exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. All right. And then, so why did you choose to pursue sort of a startup? What pushed you to just say, okay, I want to develop something? I mean, you just talked to us about, your passion for having a tangible product to contribute in a sustainable way. But for example, Ian, it's very interesting about your, is it denim wash detergent?
Yep, so
Yeah.
it's the world's first soap-free denim wash, and it's really targeted at people who invest a lot in raw denim products that they. So the interesting fact about denim is a lot of people don't wash their dark wash jeans or denim products for at least a year. And that's because you don't want to wash off all the color that bleeds from your jeans.
Okay.
And so for decades, people have been putting their $1,000, your Yves Saint Laurent or your really expensive pair of Dolce & Gabbana jeans in the freezer. And they do that to remove the odors from the jeans without having to wash them.
What?
And so we took the washing machine out of the equation by coming out with a non-surfactant based denim wash.
That is incredible. I had no idea that that's what people did with jeans. I mean, it's such a specific, I guess, sort of like a niche market, but that's really interesting. I had no idea that that was a problem. But yeah, of course, they lose their color. Yeah. And so what pushed you, like, why did you decide to go onto that area? Or I guess, did you have the jeans and put them in the freezer and said, hey, I can help other people too?
I think the reason why we started, it's a bit different from the denim story. Why I wanted to do a startup was because I had a mission in mind, and I knew that I was not going to change it working for a company and changing the company culture from the inside out. And that mission was to normalize disability employment. I wanted to be able to include not just people of ability, but people of all abilities, even if it's a disability. And so I thought, what better way to do that than to start my own startup and be able to control and build the culture right from the foundations.
Oh, that's wonderful. And how did you go from that idea to what you're doing now? Was that through your ilab experience that it sort of shifted?
Right. So
in the process?
I've had this social purpose since I think 7 years ago. It's just finding the right business, the right concept, or the right idea to make that happen. And when we started building Korean Organics as a brand, we thought, here's a good product that the market wants and will pay top dollar for because it's in the luxury segment.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, we are able to provide meaningful employment to people of all abilities and not worry about having to ask for handouts. Oh, could you donate this money to me so that I can hire these people? We have a very sustainable circular economy in place where on one end, consumers get a high quality product, but on the other hand, the money that they pay for goes towards supporting people in employment.
Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's brilliant. All right, so how has the ilab program impacted your view of your career, of your future career path? So Rizal, you're working on the engines, right? The airplane engines?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's actually helped me a lot in a sense where it's possible to do what you want, what you enjoy. I've always been passionate about aviation, but I've never really wanted to work for the companies because it's kind of boring because they do nothing all day. But making this startup gave me an opportunity to actually make something big on my own. And because of ilab, I was able to find the right patent attorney to protect my design, because that was a long, lengthy process. I remember the first ever patent attorney meeting. That was a pretty funny story. We were lucky that that the mentor Rand was there, because if he wasn't there, I don't think the business would be as good as it is now. So yeah, and it connected us to a lot of different people, also entrepreneurs who also has a background in aerospace engineering, and just them telling us this can be done. You can put this on an airplane and keep going. You're almost there. Guess that's worth it.
Yeah. And I guess like that is I guess the beauty of participating in a program like this is, as you said, you are an engineer and you might have all the sort of theoretical knowledge and can do all the computational calculations and whatever to design your engine. But there's a lot of things that you don't know. And I mean, regardless of your background, for example, going to that patent meeting, that is not your forte. You might be able to design, you know, an engine for an airplane or whatever product it is, but you don't know about patents. So having a mentor there who knows about that to explain it to you and to walk you through it, potentially protecting you from like a big problem that you might face in the future, that is just making that experience so much richer and then just contributing in many different ways.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. All right, and how did you find, all of you, while you were doing that, you were studying as well. So how did you find balancing life, work, ilab, studying, and everything?
Okay, I'll start this one off. So first of all, you don't balance, you just somehow make it through. When I was doing ilab, I was also studying second year of chemical engineering and biomedical science. I was, for some reason, crazy and did 5 courses that semester. So I was overloading and doing ilab. So I think what that told me is it's good to challenge yourself, and having so many things to do and having a full schedule all the time, it really motivates me to get out of bed and actually do things every day, because otherwise it's going to like pile up and eventually something's going to go wrong. So having that responsibility, I think it really helped me see what kind of like what's my limits are. So I think challenging that is quite a good learning experience. So now I don't have the excuses of saying, oh, I can't do that, that's too much, because I know that if I just manage my time properly, I'll get time to do all the important things. And also balancing life, I think for any startup founder, there's not much personal life happening. So it's just what you're willing to give up and what you want to achieve. So it's having that mental picture of your priorities all the time and basically managing your life around that. So yeah, that's also a good realization to have early on in the startup journey. So you know you will need to sacrifice certain things, but hopefully you will get something in return. Yeah, so you don't balance,
Absolutely.
but you make it through.
Yeah, exactly. And how, I mean, in terms of time commitment, how, obviously taking 5 subjects at the same time, and chemical engineering, biomedical, I cannot even imagine that on its own would be so much. But in terms of ilab, how is there sort of like a rough idea of how much you can, or you roughly commit to every week, or like,
Yeah.
I mean, is there a bulk
I
number?
mean, for me, it was different because it was in real life and it wasn't online. I think it could be more flexible now that it's online. You don't have to physically be in the iLab building. So for us, we had to commit the full Monday. So that's from as early as I think 8 a.m. to like I think would be 8 p.m. So that would be a whole day in iLab, and we would have mentor meetings with Ran and Bernie, and I think all of the founders were there unless they had other schedule clash or those things. But for me as a student, I think I talked to Ran and Bernie, and they let me go have my classes throughout the day and come back for the mentor meetings and just arrange my time like that. And then for the other days, so Tuesday to Friday, or even Saturday, Sunday, if you like to work overtime, those days it's more flexible. So most founders who aren't studying and who are dedicated to pursuing their startup, they would come in every day, as that would be their office, and they would work there every day. But for me as a student, I obviously had to go to classes and all those things. So I think it's more flexible from Tuesday to Friday, but just having a mental picture of how much you need to do, that makes you go to iLab and actually be productive and do things. So yeah, it's still it's different between different startups, but I would assume a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so Rachel and Rizal, so you're both currently studying engineering. So how has your technical studies affected or supported your entrepreneurship learning experience?
Doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't, because honestly, there is nothing that tells you how to design a jet engine. Like there's no course, nothing that teaches you anything. So
Yeah.
it's literally just you're on your own. Just you can research all you want. It's not there. It's literally just by trial and error, and then see until you get something you want. So that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah. And then, so I have a question in terms of sort of the team, because you talk about you and sort of the co-founders for whatever you're doing. So does it come first that you have a group of, let's say, a group of friends? You're like, I know 4 or 5 people, we all want to do this, and then we're going to apply together? Or can it also be a case of going there saying, I have an idea, but I would like more people to jump on board and help me out with this, maybe in other areas?
My co-founders already knew about my idea since last year. I asked one of them, Mohammed, to join me in December. I told him that there's this ilab program. Do you want to go for it? He's like, okay. My other co-founder, Brian, he also knew about it since last year, but I wasn't sure whether he was gonna go back to his country or not after he graduated. So then he messaged me in March saying, hey, how you going? Let's hang out. I'm like, okay. It's like, oh, you're still here? He goes, yeah. I was like, okay. And then I persuaded him to join. He asked, are you still doing that engine project? I'm like, yeah. And I got funding this time. He goes, all right, I'm in. And yeah, just started from there.
Yeah. And then, so you just mentioned that you got funding. So is that through ilab, through like a specific, I don't know, program or like subdivision, or do you have to apply for it? Or if you're part of the ilab experience, do you get funding
Yeah,
respectively, or how does it work?
if you're a part of ilab, you get funding respectively. In our case, in 2020, we got $20,000 spread about 3 tranches. Was it three? Yeah, 3 different tranches. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is that for everyone who's part of ilab, like Rachel and Ian as
Yep.
well?
Yep.
Yeah, it
Different
was
tiers.
a 20,000 for 6-month program, but I think then next year the program has been changed a little bit to 3 month, and that was going to be $10,000 funding. So yeah.
Okay. And are you able to, so if you do the 6 month and then you get to up to this point of your project, and then you can apply to renew it and then just do another 6 months, or how does that work?
No. Ideally,
like a
yes, but no.
one-time.
Yeah, it's just one time, but ideally, iLab can set a startup up for seed funding and talking to investors instead of keep going through accelerator programs. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
iLab connects startup founders to venture capitals or even just investors who would be interested in each specific startup, and and going there and pitching to those investors would hopefully give you opportunity to receive further funding.
Yeah, that is wonderful. So are you all right now at this stage, I mean, sort of talking to these venture capitalists and then other people who might want to invest, or still finishing ilab? Or did you mention before that it finished recently?
Yep.
For the year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We finished in August this year, and we ended with pitch night.
And you what, sorry?
We finished with pitch night. So at the end of the 6-month program, every startup will be pitching to an audience that comprises of investors, VC firms, UQ's network of contacts as well. And I think it all leads up to that being investor ready position.
Yeah.
And,
Shark Tank type
for
of thing.
you to really open your eyes out to what's there, and to also show the greater Brisbane or Australian community who our ilab cohort is. And if you're keen to continue to be in contact with them, you can stay in touch through pitch night.
Yeah. Wow. And how was it for you, Ian, particularly? How did you find your journey of running a startup in Queensland as an international alumni?
Right. I think it's a very interesting proposition. I think it's a bit of a cheat as well, if I may be honest. The great thing about Australia is the Made in Australia brand name. I think that having that opportunity to produce something that is sustainable here brings a lot of value overseas, because we hope to be able to scale regionally and then globally. So that Made in Australia brand is really a strong and trusted name to have on our physical products. But at the same time, I think the accessibility to resources as well. When you want to find organic ingredients, it's a lot easier to find it here in Australia as compared to back in Singapore where I came from. Um, and I think that we played around. Why I say we're cheating a bit is because we have a local business here. So we are able to hitch on the Australian, we are an Australian-based company. And so we have the benefits of that. But when I go back to Singapore, for example, next month, when we're doing our official launch for the denim wash in Singapore, in Asia, I'm also local in Singapore because I'm Singaporean. So it gives us the unique opportunity to play locals on two levels.
That is such a good point. Yeah. So have you launched it in Australia already? No.
We have launched it in Australia. It was more of a soft launch through ilab, but we have a upcoming live event in Singapore where we will be inviting retailers to attend the event, and we can pitch to them our products.
Perfect. And I mean, if you want to, we can even share if you have a link or something so that people can go and have a look. We can share it in the comment section as well. And then they can just look at the product. And how is it going to be, I mean, with travel restrictions and everything, for you to go to Singapore for the pitch? Or is everything done virtually now?
So because I'm Singaporean, I'm allowed to go back to Singapore. That's it. I can't fly back into Australia. But thankfully, I have a co-founder who is based here. So we will be remotely working for the next 6 months while I'm back in Singapore. And so I think the beauty of everything being online now is we can afford to work remotely, but yet still be efficient and get things done. So because I'm a commercial founder and my co-founder is a technical founder, he's handling the production functions of the startup here in Brisbane, and I'll be handling the commercial, the sales side of things in the Asia Pacific region.
Yeah, wonderful. That's so interesting. All right. And what about you, Rachel? I mean, at what stage are you at right now with your project?
Yep, so recently we decided to stop pursuing PowerSphere for the moment because my co-founder has been sick for quite a long time, and with the COVID situation as well as being busy with our studies. So we've made the executive decision to just not pursue it for the time being. But I guess to talk about what the stages that I have been through would be after the pitch night, quite a few people, investors, or organizations have been interested in our product and our company, and we've had a few investor meetings prior to stopping the business activities. So I think the pitch night was really helpful in reaching out to more people, because you worked on this product and worked on this company for 6 months, and it's that time where all the investors or people interested or people involved in the startup community will gather at the pitch night, and you get a lot of connections through that. So I think for me right now, the stage that I'm currently at is, I guess, hopefully won't be applicable for Ian and Rizal. But I think for any founder, it's a natural thing to, I guess, to not think about stopping the business activities. But eventually some people like me will get to the stage. And I think it's, I mean, everything is a learning process. So being able to wait out on things and seeing how things play out is also good for your personal development as well as the company, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So how much longer do you have to go to graduation?
Oh, I'm doing a dual degree, and I think it's supposed to be 5 years, but I've tried to speed up my program by doing 5 courses. So I'm expecting to finish, I guess, the year after, so June in 2022.
Okay. All right. And I mean, I guess you have decided to put on hold. Of course, what you are studying as well is very intense, and you're taking 5 subjects. That, no matter what you're studying, is a lot. But you have had that experience, and if you want to revisit that after you graduate, or when you can balance the time and the commitment with it, that's something that you can always on pause and keep working on later on?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, the network is good. You still know how to talk to the people. You still know how to start. So I think starting is the biggest challenge for any startup company. Just having having the resources to start building it and start talking to people. I think, and it's also a challenge for some people personally. So I think being able to start is a great challenge, and I think I have the skills to do it again if I need to in the future.
Absolutely. So what about you, Rizal? Where are you at with your project right now?
Currently, we're at the waiting stage. So in the aviation world, there are two big companies that manufacture the aircrafts. And I'm not going to say which company, but we've managed to do a pitch in front of them. I pitched in front of their research and innovation personnel,
Wow.
and showed them the engine in front of their faces. And they are currently now going to bring that back to headquarters and going to extend a non-disclosure agreement so they can actually assess the possibility of using the engines. And we've also made contact to engine manufacturers such as Rolls-Royce, General Electric, but we're waiting mainly for that big aerospace company to give us the introduction. So it's more of a better. And from the sounds of things, they seemed pretty interested with taking over.
That is incredible. Congratulations. That is such an amazing accomplishment. You must be so proud of, the work that you've put in, and for them to recognize the value in the product that you have developed.
Yes, it was an interesting experience.
Interesting, to say the least.
To say the least.
Yeah, exactly. And so what would you, without getting too technical, because we don't all have the background in that. So what would you say was the point of difference between, let's say, your engine and the engines that you would find in normal, or like the other engines?
So the biggest difference with our engines is hybrid. So it actually uses electricity to actually move the aircraft. But because we're still using generators, that's why we can package our engine as retrofittable, because it can be we could change, it has the potential to replace current engines on existing planes. And that's pretty much the biggest difference between our startup and every other electric airplane startup, is that everyone's trying to make an aircraft from the ground up. We're making retrofittable engines, so current aircrafts can change engines. And not many people know, but airplane engines are just bolted on by 4 bolts, so you could literally just replace the old one and get a new one. It's done very often. And the same aircraft can use engines from different manufacturers, so it's all depends on the aircraft and how to design the engines.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're just waiting to hear from them and then see if they'd be interested, and then if that was the case, then you would look at the production side that you would produce it?
Oh no, we're just licensing it. So we're just waiting for big fat royalty checks to come in the mailbox every month without the stress.
Exactly. Yeah, that is.
I am definitely not manufacturing an engine in Australia, and definitely not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, it's interesting to know it's not that you're going to have to go through that manufacturing process. It's more like the licensing. Oh, obviously, that's another avenue that you can explore. So
because
makes more sense too.
Because the biggest value that our company has is not in manufacturing, but it's in innovation.
Design,
It takes companies years to innovate, but for us it took us 2-3 months. So
that is incredible.
Innovation is where the strength of our company lies, and we don't want to change that.
Of course. And how further are you? How much longer do you have to finish your studies?
I think I finished sometime next year.
Okay, wonderful. And then so the idea would be to finish and then dedicate your full time to your business?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. I mean, it is incredible to hear what you have come up with, your ideas. I mean, the level of innovation and creativity. I mean, Rachel, it's great that you have come up with that solution, like with the sustainable side. Ian, amazing to hear how this luxury product can also contribute to having a company that would allow to, you know, hire people with all different types of abilities. So having that, I mean, launching your product, but also having that social impact is very, very touching. And seriously, you three are incredible. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing all the information with us. So I'm pretty sure people are going to find this very interesting. So do you have any last minute sort of piece of advice, sorry, for anyone considering joining the ilab experience?
Just do it.
Go ahead.
Just have that experience for yourself. I think no advice can cover your experience. So I think just do it and see what it's like. I think everyone will get different lessons from it.
Wonderful. All right. Well, applications for the 2021 ilab Accelerator program are now open, and you can visit the UQ Ventures website for more information. So UQ Life are hosting a number of events during the Bloom Festival, and we will post a link to our events in the comment section below. So again, thank you so much for your participation, Rachel, Rizal, and Ian. And to everyone watching, I hope you have a great day. And from everyone at UQ Life, be kind to each other. And see you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.